She was just walking home when a car hit her. But what happened next changed her life forever. A complete stranger stayed by her side all night, through fear, pain, and uncertainty. By morning, no one expected how that one unexpected encounter would turn into a love stronger than anything they could imagine. Stay tuned. This story will show you how one act of kindness can change everything. Before we dive into the incredible story, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you never miss our powerful, life-changing content. Evening sunlight melted across the busy road. Golden light touched the buildings. Warm wind brushed against my hair as I walked home. I remember the sound first. A sudden roar of tires. A flash of silver metal. A violent impact. The world spun. My body struck the cold asphalt. The sky above me blurred into pale blue and drifting clouds. Voices surrounded me. Distant. Panicked. Pain burned through my arm. My breath came in short trembling waves. Then one voice cut through everything. Calm. Urgent. Gentle. Stay with me. A young man knelt beside me. Strange face. Concerned eyes. His jacket slipped beneath my head so the hard road softened. His hands trembled, yet his voice carried strength. Sirens wailed in the distance. Night arrived inside the hospital. Bright white lights. The smell of medicine. Soft beeping machines. My bag vanished somewhere on that road. No name. No identification. Only silence and pain. Yet the stranger remained. All night. A quiet figure beside my bed. Eyes heavy with exhaustion. Hands folded in patience. Nurses whispered about him. The devoted attendant. The man who refused to leave. Morning sunlight slipped through the window. Warm and pale. My eyes opened slowly. The world returned piece by piece. The white ceiling. The gentle rhythm of machines. And him. Curled slightly on a small chair beside my bed. Head resting against the wall. Sleep finally claiming him. A stranger who carried my fear through the longest night. A stranger whose kindness wrapped around my wounded heart like soft light. My fingers moved weakly. I whispered, "Hello." His eyes opened. Confusion first. Then relief. A quiet smile. And in that fragile hospital room, surrounded by the smell of medicine and the soft glow of morning, something new began to breathe between two souls who met on a broken road. A silent promise forming in the space between us. A promise that kindness sometimes arrives as a stranger and slowly grows into a love strong enough to carry two wounded hearts forward through every uncertain tomorrow together. Morning light slowly filled the quiet hospital room. Soft gold touched the white sheets. The smell of antiseptic floated through the air. The young man blinked, waking suddenly. His eyes met mine. For a moment the world stood still. Relief warmed his tired face. A quiet smile appeared, gentle and sincere. "You are awake," he said softly. His voice carried the warmth of someone who guarded a fragile life through a long night. Memories rushed back. The road. The violent sound of metal. The cold pavement beneath my skin. A shiver passed through my body. His hand moved quickly, careful, steady. "Everything is fine now," he whispered. Nurses entered the room with calm footsteps. Machines beeped softly beside me. One nurse looked at the young man with curious eyes. "You stayed here all night?" He nodded quietly. The nurse smiled with respect. "He refused to leave your side." My heart moved strangely inside my chest. A complete stranger carried my fear through the darkest hours. Time passed slowly. Morning turned brighter. The city outside awakened with distant traffic and sunlight on glass buildings. The young man walked to the window. Golden light surrounded him. For the first time I truly saw him. Kind eyes. Tired shoulders. A quiet strength. He returned to the chair beside my bed. "I searched the road," he said. "Your bag disappeared. No documents. No name." Silence settled between us. Then I whispered my name. He repeated it slowly, carefully, as if protecting something precious. "My name is Armin," he replied. The name lingered in the room like a soft promise. Hours passed with small conversations. Simple words. Gentle laughter. Long pauses filled with comfort. Pain still lived in my body. Yet something warm grew quietly between us. Later that afternoon, sunlight shifted across the floor. Doctors spoke in calm voices outside the door. Armin sat beside me again, fingers wrapped around a paper cup of coffee gone cold. "You frightened me last night," he admitted quietly. The honesty in his voice touched something deep inside me. Outside the window, the world rushed forward with noise and life. Inside the room, time slowed. Two strangers sharing a fragile moment. Two hearts learning the quiet language of kindness. And as evening shadows slowly stretched across the hospital floor, Armin leaned closer, his voice softer than before, his eyes holding a story that felt strangely familiar, as if our paths crossed long before that violent moment on the road, as if fate waited patiently for the right night, the right accident, the right heartbeat to bring two wandering lives into the same fragile room where something beautiful continued to grow quietly between us. Evening shadows slowly stretched across the quiet hospital floor. Outside the window, the city glowed with orange light. Cars moved like silent rivers beneath the fading sky. Inside the room, time felt slower. Armin sat beside my bed, elbows resting on his knees. His eyes watched the floor for a moment, as if gathering hidden thoughts. Then he looked up again. Soft light touched his face. "I saw you before the accident," he said gently. My heart stirred with quiet surprise. "You crossed the road with such calm steps," he continued. "The wind moved your hair." For a moment the whole street felt peaceful. I listened carefully. His words painted the scene again inside my mind. Then his voice grew quieter. The car appeared suddenly. The memory returned like a sudden storm. Screeching tires. A violent flash of metal. The hard road beneath my body. My fingers tightened slightly around the blanket. Armin noticed. His voice softened. "The moment you fell, the crowd froze. Everyone looked shocked. I ran before thinking." His hand rested lightly on the chair beside the bed. "I called the ambulance. Your bag slipped away somewhere in the chaos." I closed my eyes for a moment. A strange peace filled my chest. A stranger had carried my life through that terrible night. The door opened gently. A nurse entered with warm soup and quiet footsteps. "Your guardian deserves rest too," she said with a kind smile toward Armin. He laughed softly. "I am only a passerby." Yet the words felt incomplete, because something deeper had already begun. Night returned slowly. Blue darkness filled the sky beyond the window. Hospital lights glowed softly along the corridor. Armin remained beside me again. We spoke about small things. The city, favorite music, childhood memories. Every story built a bridge between two lives that once walked separate roads. Hours passed like quiet waves. Later, a cool wind touched the window glass. Armin stood again, gazing into the sleeping city. "Strange," he murmured thoughtfully. "What is strange?" I asked. He turned slowly, eyes thoughtful. "Last night I ran to save a stranger." His voice lowered. "Tonight it feels like I found someone my heart already knows." My breath paused. Something warm spread through the silence. The hospital room felt different now. Not just a place of pain. A place where two wandering lives quietly began weaving together. Where every shared word slowly built a fragile connection. And as the night deepened and the quiet machines continued their gentle rhythm beside the bed, Armin stepped closer again, his expression filled with a sincerity that made the air between us feel warmer, as if the unexpected road that brought us here still held many untold moments waiting to unfold between us. The quiet machines beside my bed continued their gentle rhythm. Soft beeping filled the room like a calm heartbeat. Armin stood closer now, his expression warm and thoughtful. The pale hospital light rested on his face. Outside the window, the city slept under a deep blue sky. Streetlights stretched along the empty roads like silent guardians. Inside the room, the world felt small and strangely peaceful. Armin pulled the chair a little closer to my bed. "I keep thinking about that moment," he said quietly. His voice carried curiosity and wonder. "The moment before the accident." I watched him carefully. "You looked peaceful," he continued, "as if the noise of the world could never reach you." A soft smile touched my lips. "I was thinking about home," I whispered. The word hung gently in the air. "Home." Armin leaned back slightly, listening with calm attention. "The evening breeze felt warm," I said slowly. "The sky looked beautiful." I remember feeling grateful for simple things. For a moment silence wrapped around us again. Then Armin spoke with quiet honesty. "When I saw you fall, something inside me moved before my mind could think." His eyes lowered briefly. I ran as if my own life depended on it. His words touched something deep inside my chest. Pain still lived in my body, yet warmth slowly replaced fear. Hours passed in quiet conversation. Stories flowed easily. Armin spoke about his small apartment near the river, morning walks, books he loved, long evenings watching the sunset over the water. His voice carried sincerity. Every word revealed a gentle soul. The night deepened. Nurses moved softly through the corridor. A faint smell of coffee drifted through the hospital air. Armin stood again near the window. The city lights reflected in the glass. "I wonder where your bag went," he said thoughtfully. "No phone. No documents. Nothing to guide your family here." A quiet worry passed through my heart. Yet strangely, fear felt distant. Because the stranger who once knelt beside me on a cold road now felt like the only familiar presence in the world. Armin turned back slowly. His eyes held determination. "Tomorrow morning I will return to the road," he said firmly. "I will search every corner." His kindness wrapped around the room like warm light. I watched him with quiet gratitude. The man who entered my life through chaos now carried my future with gentle care. And as the hospital clock moved deeper into the silent hours of the night, Armin returned to the chair beside my bed again. His presence calm and steady, the soft glow of the corridor light falling across the floor while a quiet feeling continued growing between us, a feeling neither of us fully understood yet, a fragile connection born from a moment of pain that slowly began transforming into something deeper with every shared breath in the quiet room. The quiet room held that fragile connection like a secret. Night stretched deeper outside the window. The city lights shimmered like distant stars. Armin rested in the chair again, his arms folded loosely, his eyes heavy yet peaceful. I watched him in silence. Strange how fate worked. Only hours earlier we had been two strangers walking different paths through the same busy city. Now our lives shared the same quiet room, the same fragile moment. The hospital clock ticked softly on the wall. Each second felt slower than the last. My body still ached, yet the sharp fear from earlier had softened into something calmer. Armin opened his eyes again, sensing my gaze. A gentle smile appeared. "You should sleep," he said quietly. His voice carried care that felt natural, almost familiar. Sleep felt distant though. My mind wandered through the memory of the road, the rushing sound of the car, the sudden darkness. Then his voice cutting through the chaos. "Stay with me." That moment echoed inside me like a promise. "I remember your voice," I told him softly. He leaned forward slightly. "My voice?" "Yes," I whispered. In the middle of the noise, the fear, the pain, your voice sounded steady. Armin looked thoughtful. "I felt terrified," he admitted with a quiet laugh. "My hands were shaking." The honesty made me smile. "Yet you stayed." His eyes softened. "Leaving never crossed my mind." Silence settled again. Comfortable. Warm. A nurse passed by the door, her footsteps fading down the hallway. Somewhere far away an elevator bell chimed. Life continued quietly inside the hospital walls. Armin stood and stretched slightly. The long night rested on his shoulders. "You saved me," I said suddenly. The words surprised both of us. He shook his head gently. "I only helped." Yet his eyes carried something deeper, something sincere. Morning slowly began to whisper at the edge of the dark sky. The faintest gray light touched the horizon beyond the city buildings. Armin noticed it first. "Morning is coming," he murmured. The thought felt strange. A new day after such a violent night. A new beginning neither of us expected. He walked toward the door quietly. "I will bring coffee," he said. "Real coffee this time." I watched him step into the hallway. For a moment the room felt empty. Then his footsteps returned almost immediately. Armin stood in the doorway again, slightly breathless. His expression suddenly changed, as if something unexpected waited just beyond the corridor, something that made his eyes widen with surprise while he looked back at me, hesitating for a brief moment before slowly stepping aside to reveal a figure standing under the pale morning lights of the hospital hallway. Armin stood in the doorway, slightly breathless. The pale morning lights of the hallway stretched behind him. His expression held surprise, mixed with curiosity. Slowly he stepped aside. A figure stood in the corridor. Tall, still, uncertain. For a moment my heart beat faster. The man inside the hallway looked into the room carefully, as if afraid to disturb something fragile. Gray hair touched his temples. His coat hung loosely from tired shoulders. His eyes searched the room until they found me. Suddenly warmth filled them. "My daughter." The words trembled softly through the quiet air. Emotion rushed through my chest like a sudden wave. "Father." Armin stepped back respectfully, allowing the moment to breathe. My father hurried forward, his footsteps quick and uneven. His hand reached mine gently, as if afraid I might disappear. "I searched all night," he said with a voice thick with relief. "The police called early this morning. Someone reported an accident." His eyes then turned toward Armin. Curiosity appeared. "And this young man?" For a moment the room fell quiet again. Armin shifted slightly, almost shy under the attention. "I only helped when the accident happened," he said calmly. My father studied him carefully. Then gratitude slowly filled his face. "You stayed with her?" Armin nodded. The older man exhaled deeply. "You protected my daughter when I could not." His hand extended toward Armin. A firm handshake followed. Respect passed silently between them. The first sunlight of morning slipped through the window. Golden light warmed the hospital floor. For the first time since the accident, the world felt steady again. My father sat beside my bed, relief still shining in his eyes. Armin moved toward the window quietly, giving us space. Yet his presence remained close, comforting, like a silent guardian who arrived during the darkest hour. Time passed gently. Doctors visited the room, speaking in calm professional voices. My father listened carefully to every detail. Armin remained near the window, occasionally glancing toward me. Each time our eyes met, a quiet smile appeared. A secret understanding. Later, as the morning brightened and the hospital slowly filled with the sounds of daily life, my father turned again toward Armin, curiosity returning to his expression, as if he wanted to understand the strange path that brought this young man into our lives. And Armin began to explain the moment on the road, the chaos, the ambulance, the long night beside my bed, while I listened silently, realizing more clearly with every word that the stranger who ran toward me on that frightening evening had already become something far more important in my life, something that felt steady and warm and quietly powerful, like a story only beginning to unfold between us. Morning sunlight poured through the hospital window. Warm light filled the room that once carried fear and uncertainty. Days passed gently after that long night. My strength slowly returned. Bandages became smaller. Pain softened into quiet memories. Yet one thing never changed. Armin. Every morning he arrived with warm coffee. Every evening he sat beside the window, telling small stories about the city, the river, and the orange sunsets he loved so much. My father watched all of this with calm understanding. Sometimes he smiled quietly, as if life had revealed something beautiful through an unexpected storm. One afternoon the doctor finally spoke the words we had waited for. "You may go home tomorrow." The news filled the room with light laughter. That evening the sky outside burned with soft pink clouds. Armin stood beside the window again, the same place where he had spent that long first night. I looked at him carefully. "Why did you stay?" I asked gently. He smiled thoughtful. "Because kindness sometimes arrives before logic," he said. "Because a heart in pain deserves another heart beside it." His answer stayed with me. The next morning we walked slowly out of the hospital together. The same city roads waited outside. Cars passed. People hurried. Life moved forward. Yet everything felt different. Because sometimes a frightening moment becomes the doorway to something beautiful. Sometimes the person who runs toward you in your darkest moment becomes the one who walks beside you in the light. Armin held my hand gently as we crossed the road again. This time the street felt calm, safe, full of quiet promise. And in that simple moment I understood something important. Life often changes in a single heartbeat. A stranger can become family. Kindness can become love. Compassion can heal wounds deeper than pain. The lesson is simple yet powerful. When someone falls in life, run toward them with kindness instead of walking away. Because a single act of compassion can change two lives forever. Just like one unexpected night, one open heart, and one stranger who chose to stay.